So when I put huge Ukrainian Blitz or something like that into one of my thumbnails and my titles, I'm not kidding. Like what the Russians got yesterday from the Ukrainians was a pretty significant hit. Okay, let's talk about what happened. Last night, Ukrainian drones attacked the Russian oil port Primorsk near Finland, about 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine. Videos show air defense attacking the drones in Leningrad Oblast long before the drones reached Primorsk. Last night, Ukrainian security services struck Russia's largest Baltic oil terminal in Primorsk, a key hub for the Kremlin's shadow fleet that bypasses sanctions. Listen to this. This is just absolutely incredible. A key hub for the Kremlin's shadow fleet that bypasses sanctions and exports up to 60 million tons of oil annually, worth about 15 billion. 15 billion with a B. Estimated daily losses for Russia's budget could reach 41 million daily. SBU drones also hit several pumping stations feeding the Ust-Luga terminal. Okay, like that's a pretty significant thing. A little bit more about this. So it started at 10 p.m. was it? Something like that. It started like last night at 10. Around 6:30 a.m., Ukrainian telegram channel Alexanova noted that the attack has not yet finished and shared more video from Leningrad Oblast. So it was going on all night. The hits kept coming. 28 flights delayed, 13 more canceled, 11 more rerouted just because of the drone attack around that airport there, 950 kilometers from the front line. So if you're wondering where this is, here is Finland and Estonia, and here's St. Petersburg. And yeah, it's it's a pretty good, like you've got to think like the Russians know that this kind of thing is going to be coming. So shouldn't they have massed air defense around it? But okay, day 1296 of my 3-day war. It's going so well. St. Petersburg is being bombed for the first time since 1944. I remain master strategist, says the parody site Darth Putin. Okay, multiple drone attacks recorded in Leningrad Oblast. Debris was falling in these other cities. Russia says 221 drones were downed overnight strikes that set a ship ablaze in Primorsk and disrupted St. Petersburg airport. As far as I can tell, that was 221 total, and they just claimed that all of them were downed. Well, I mean, downed if you say that something hit something and blew it up, and I guess you can call that down, but that's not what we usually mean by downed. Russia claimed to down 221 drones overnight as strikes hit Russia's largest oil loading port of Primorsk in the Leningrad region, igniting a fire on a vessel. The vessel wasn't really hurt. An open fire on a vessel has been extinguished in the port of Primorsk. There is no threat of flooding or spillage of oil products. According to the governor, more than 30 drones were destroyed over the region overnight, but it wasn't just there. It kept coming in other places. Russian telegram channels reported the first drones hit around 10. That's where I was looking for the time, 10:40 p.m. Kyiv time. And again, it was going till 6 a.m. So yeah, a lot of damage. Explosions were also reported in the Kursk, Bryansk, and Moscow regions. And they described hearing multiple blasts overnight. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed 221 Ukrainian drones were down overnight across multiple regions, including 85 in Bryansk, 42 in Leningrad. Other downings included 18 in Kaluga, 14 in Novgorod, 9 in Oriel and Moscow regions, each 7 in Belgorod, 3 in Rostov and Tver, and 1 in Peskov, Tula, and Kursk. Like this was a big coordinated hit. Ukrainian oil depot in Kardomovo, Smolensk region was hit by drones. Lukoil is burning here. This is that Lukoil facility. And again, where's that? That's over here right on the edge of Belarus. And the other one was up here in St. Petersburg, but there were so many hits I could just kind of move my cursor around. Okay, earlier today, earlier this week rather, Ukrainian attack drones successfully hit the NPS Torvovo fueling pumping station, a key facility partially responsible for supplying diesel fuel to Russia's capital of Moscow. I think I talked about it, but I don't remember. And I try not to be duplicative, but I honestly don't remember. There's been so much going on. And somebody was chastising me, saying, "Hey, look, your videos are getting too long." I don't do I don't create the events. I'm just trying to report the events. I'm not trying to go long. I promise you. Last night, Ukrainian drones struck a Russian ammunition depot in occupied Luhansk. Okay, so now we're not even talking about in Russia anymore. We're over in the occupied territory. Powerful detonation. Ammunition is occurring in the strike area. Okay, now what did Russia do to Ukraine? Last night, 40 Russian Iranian drones. Ukraine suppressed or down 33 of them. But I don't see a lot of images of what actually happened there. There's not very much to go on. So, okay. So what else was going on? So Prince Harry showed up in Kyiv. Harry came to, he came to visit Lviv with his wife, where they were visited a rehabilitation center for medics and wounded soldiers. And he's arrived for the Invictus Games Foundation team. So great. I mean, that's good. It's not the same as sending the prime minister, but I'm not complaining about his support. Well done, Prince Harry. Poland's foreign minister, Radoslaw Sikorski, arrived in Kyiv on Friday for talks on security just days after a drone raid into Poland raised concerns over the spillover of Russia's war. Look, how they handle this could cause or could stop or cause World War III. This is really devastating. Donald Tusk, the prime minister, rather, said, "We would also wish that the drone attack was a mistake, but it wasn't." He's replying to Donald Trump, saying that, well, maybe it was a mistake. And Scott Ritter replied to that, saying, "Actually, you're correct. Ukraine did it, and you know it." Okay, Scott, really? Macron said that France would deploy 3 Rafale, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce Rafale fighters, to contribute to the protection of Polish airspace and NATO's eastern flank together with our allies. And while he's doing that, Orban is saying that the EU must stop this warmongering rhetoric and push for negotiations. So that's the fun in Europe. Okay, 890 Russians off the battlefield, 1 tank, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 40 artillery systems, and 64 vehicles and fuel tanks day over day. So just the headlines here from Ragnar Gudmundsson's dashboard. Engagements remain above average, but casualties stay below. Again, 890 is on, I mean, it's not like the 900, 1,000 that we were seeing in the last couple of days. Weekly drone losses stay at a record level. Notable artillery losses as well. In the cross direction, there were only 32 attempts. That's on the lower side by a significant margin. Zaporizhzhia Oblast, a group of Russian soldiers, watched the lead vehicle in their column engulfed in flames after a Ukrainian drone strike. If I were these guys, okay, so they're watching that. If I were these guys, I wouldn't just be standing around waiting for another drone to come find me. Improvised anti-drone protection on a Russian Bukhana. This is like heavy truck. But can't the drone just kind of go to where the windshield or the window on the side is? Like, I get what they're trying to do, but they could, anyway. Croatian M84 tanks have entered service with Ukraine's 141st Mechanized Brigade defending Zaporizhzhia region. The delivery was part of a deal offsetting Croatia's purchase of 50 German Leopard 2A8 tanks. So thank you to Croatia. Meanwhile, Poland is closing down its border with Belarus ahead of the Russian-Belarusian war games, drawing sharp criticism from Moscow, which called the move destructive. Well, I mean, they can close their border if they want. I don't understand why Russia has any say in this. Meanwhile, the Belarusians claim that its checkpoints will continue to operate as usual. Today, Belarus and Russia launched the active phase of Zapad 2025 command and staff exercise. As previous iterations, the drills will be conducted across a wide geography, including training ranges in the Leningrad and Moscow military districts, Kaliningrad Oblast, the high north, and Belarus. So it is actually partly in Russia as well. The exercise is designed to demonstrate Russia's readiness to fight in the western, northwestern, and Arctic directions, test the wartime functioning of the state institutions, and enhance the interoperability between Russian and Belarusian forces. Due to Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine, Zapad 2025 is highly likely to be much smaller in scale than in 2017 and 2021. You'll remember that after 2021, they were in Belarus and just started invading into Ukraine in 2022. The Belarusian component is expected to involve fewer than 10,000 Russian and Belarusian troops during the active phase. Zapad 2025 is not expected to morph into a deception exercise, which is what it was in 2022. And so I know there's some that are saying, oh, World War III is right here. That's going to happen. Like, I just don't see that. This year's Zapad war games are also set to practice the decision-making around the use of Russian nuclear weapons and nuclear-capable intermediate-range missiles that Moscow has promised to supply to Minsk. So, yeah, that's what they're doing. There's even an Indian contingent consisting of 65 military personnel that's also participating in the Zapad 2025 multilateral joint military exercises. Okay, just something interesting here. Battle of drones. Here's a Ukrainian FPV drone shooting down a Russian heavy bomber. Get close enough and blow up, and there it goes. And you can actually see what something like that looks like in a scope or whatever. Okay, ISW says that Russia is trying to rip Bosnia apart. And it's wherever they go, it's chaos, right? To divide and distract Europe. Okay, so there's also a theory that what was going on with Poland, the incursion into Poland, wasn't to kick off World War III or to probe, but to distract Europe and make them have to hang on to their own weapons so they don't supply Ukraine. And maybe this is part of the same kind of strategy. Don't know. I'm just trying to tell you what the theories are that are out there. On 9 September, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov met with the Spitska's leader in Moscow. He blasted the West, praised a separatist referendum, and warned of a new Balkan war. And these guys are like the Johnny Appleseeds of chaos, aren't they? If you don't know what Johnny Appleseed, he's an American folk personality from the 18-somethings that would just kind of go across as he's going across the prairie or wherever he's going across the West. He's dispersing apple seeds, and so apple trees come up all around wherever he went. But I mean, that's the greatest metaphor I can think of for what Lavrov and what Russia tend to do to everyone around them. Okay, most migrant children will not get into Russian schools. Out of 2,600 applicants for school enrollment, only 2,900 foreign children were admitted. A new barrier is the mandatory Russian language test introduced in April 2025. Most failed it or never even made it into the exam because of endless paperwork. Overall, out of nearly 800,000 migrant children in Russia, only a quarter attend school. This is a brilliant way to create a permanent underclass, if that's what you're trying to do, to hold these immigrants down in Russian society as an underclass to do the dirty work. Up to two-thirds of Russian respondents believe that it's time to move forward toward peace negotiations, a record high for this indicator. Only 27% say military action should continue. That's the lowest level that it's been. The figures come from the Levada Center, which gives me a lot of comfort that this is a legitimate poll. It's known for methodical rigor. The Levada Center does legitimate work, and that's really telling that up to two-thirds are saying that it's time to move toward peace negotiations. Now, there's greater support for continued military action among a few different demographics. Men, okay, men skew that way. I get it. Older respondents, if you're retired and it's not going to affect you, okay. Residents of Moscow, okay, they're kind of isolated from what's actually happening. Those who believe things are going well, those with favorable views of Putin, those trusting TV, which is, state-sponsored media that's feeding it, the state-sponsored line, and those whose lives were less affected. They're all more in favor of continued action. Meanwhile, a couple of days ago, I was going to show it yesterday, but other news crowded it out. Ukrainian Fashion Week. Veterans with amputations, military personnel, and civilians affected by the war join professional models to present. But what you want to see here is that this is what was highlighted in Ukrainian Fashion Week. Those with amputations, right? So this is, yeah. Okay, Ukrainian Fashion Week, the finale transformed into a living installation symbolizing unity, dignity, and strength. Musical accompaniment featured. I'm not worried about the accompaniment, but again, they're featuring those with amputations intentionally. Like that'll be I don't want to be say the wrong thing here, but I think it's almost a badge of honor. It's not like otherwise, generally in society, if somebody has an amputation, they seem to feel like, I don't want people to see whatever. No, this is a badge of honor for those things that you've gone through in service to your country. Okay. Now in a 288th day or 288th day of protest, the people of Georgia continue to rise against the Russian-occupied government that is now handing out sentences of up to 5 years for criticizing the ruling party. 5 years for criticism. Yeah. Last little bit here. Ukraine answered the call for help after 9/11. Yesterday was 9/11. I talked about it briefly, and deployed 5,000 soldiers despite not being in NATO. 18 Ukrainian soldiers perished. So, I was doing the shout outs. Shout out to just Ukraine for stepping up when you weren't required. And you were our ally, and we should be returning that sentiment, that force, that support to you. All right, my friends, that's all that I have. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.